Hey guys, I apologize. I don't know what happened to the first part of this video, but my camera must have eaten the footage. Anyway, we trash picked this Craftsman lawnmower with a Briggs and Stratton Quantum engine, and it was no start. You pull the cord, nobody's home. You spray some brake cleaner into the intake, pull the cord, nobody's home, but we had spark. I hooked up a compression gauge, and we were reading about maybe 10-15 psi, if that, of compression, which isn't enough to get this mower going. Needs about 60 psi or so. So I pulled the sump cover off and we yanked out the camshaft and observed that this plastic cam gear here was rotating on the metal shaft, so it was not timed properly anymore. In addition, found that this compression release mechanism right here was all bent out of shape and mangled. So that told me right away that we had a valve timing issue. Ordered a new cam, some tappets, sump cover, a gasket, and an oil seal. Got the camshaft pretty cheap off eBay. I think it was about 20 bucks or so. In this video, you're going to see me putting the engine back together. Again, I apologize. I don't know what happened to the teardown video. It was kind of cool, but it is what it is, right? Anyway, here you go. All of our parts for the mower came in. We got our new camshaft, which came with new tappets. We have an oil seal from Stens. This is a part number 49505. I'll give you guys links to the part numbers as I usually do. And we have a side cover gasket. Now you might be tempted to just use RTV, and on some engines you can do that. Depends if the engine was assembled with RTV from the factory. The reason why you can't do it on all of them is the thickness of this gasket is used for crankshaft side-to-side clearance. So if this is a couple thousandths thick, if you take this away and put RTV, which squeezes down to just about nothing, now all of a sudden you've reduced your crankshaft side clearance and you might break the crank when the motor warms up, or you might grenade something else. So first step, let's get this oil seal out. Jeez, need a bigger lever. There we go. Clean it up real good in there. Get our new seal. Let's just lightly tap it in there, and then we have to recess it slightly. Okay, now let's get a socket that matches it. Or I guess we could use the old seal as a driver, right? Yeah, let's use a socket. 1.25" socket seems to be a pretty good matchup. It's about where the old one was. Beautiful. Time to put the cam and tappets in. Now when I install camshafts and valve train material, I like to lubricate them with some engine assembly lube. You can go and buy that, but you really don't. Wow, this tappet looks used. See those swirl marks on there? You probably can't. Maybe you can. I like to lubricate the valve train parts with assembly lube. Before you do any of this, make sure everything is spotlessly clean. I can't emphasize that enough. If you go assembling engines with dirty components, might as well put them in a sandblaster. So I'm dipping these tappets in an assembly lube that I made myself. It's not a super secret recipe, but kind of is. It consists of STP oil treatment. You can get that in an auto parts store. A little bit of automatic transmission fluid and a little bit of engine oil. And you want to get it to like this kind of stringy consistency, right? See, it just kind of sticky. That's what you want. So I'm dipping the cam. Got the lifters in there. Whoops, and I just spilled half of it on the workbench. Fantastic. That's awesome. Don't you love it when that happens? Jeez. And to time this engine, there's one timing notch in here. And I'll give you guys a better shot of this. once I clean up my mess. Man, how did I do that? Talk about cleanup on aisle 3. Anyway, so you see there's a notch in the cam right about there, and there's a little diamond shape on the gear and the crankshaft, so those go together. Very easy. Stick our governor / oil slinger in now. I think it went like this. No, it can't go like that. Wouldn't fit like that. See, I don't do this very often. Maybe it does go like that. Yep, I think it does. And then we put our sump on, but with a gasket. Hopefully it's the right gasket. There we go. Just like so. And this should fit into notches on the sump cover. Looks like it'll fit in between, not a notch really, a gusset there and there. So I'm going to flip this thing upside down and we'll get this cover on. Oh, we've got to lubricate the crankshaft too, because we put a new oil seal in there. We don't want to damage it. I'm also going to put some oil on the seal itself. And the main bearing here. Just like that. Perfect. Get the sump cover back on. Shoot a little bit of oil in the cam bearing and the sump cover as well, which is right in there. It's all going to drip out as soon as I flip it upside down, but so be it. Slow and steady wins the race here. Now, let me get another set of gloves on. Let's see if we can get the sump cover on easier than it came off. I think we're just about there. I think we're just stuck on the dowel pins. Let's get a rubber mallet and give it a couple little love taps. Yep, that was it. Just stuck on the dowel pins. Alright, now when you put your bolts back in, notice that one of them has a little bit of thread sealed on it. That's because it goes into where the valve springs are, that chamber there. The name is escaping me. But that's sealed just to prevent oil leaks. Now if you do get another oil leak, just take that bolt out and add a little bit. Alright, now we're going to buzz these down to 90 inch-pounds. 90 inch-pounds, here we come. Doing it in a crisscross manner. Then what I like to do is just go all the way around, make sure you didn't miss any. If you're doing a crisscross on a lot of bolts, like on a transmission or an engine oil pan, it's easy to miss one. You get distracted, or your son or daughter says, "Hey Dad, can you help me with this?" So, always good to check your work. Alright, we're good there. I think I know why this thing was making a little tinking sound when we pulled it over earlier on. Notice this cover here is inside the blower housing. I think it should be outside. I'm guessing anytime that flywheel goes by, the magnets are drawing it in and making that noise. We got to pull the blower housing and fix that. Using my vise as a temporary engine stand. This procedure is a bit easier to do vertical. We got a couple over here. Sorry, obstructing your view. There we go. And I think there's one that holds the dipstick tube on as well. Let's pull that one. That looks smaller though. It is smaller. It's a 5/16. The others are 3/8. Okay. We'll just pull the dipstick tube out entirely. That works too. Aha! Look there. Appears I was right. Let's get you situated better. It's actually rubbing on the flywheel. This metal plate right here. Stuck on the magnets. Installer error. While we got everything apart, I'm just going to give everything a spritz with the air gun. Looks pretty clean though. Let's reinstall this cover. Let's take note, or take care to put this bracket on the outside. There we go. That looks correct there. So you notice this tab is on the outside. It was on the inside. Might as well continue the reassembly process here, right? Easy access. So let's put the fuel tank back on next. Let's get our fuel hose clamp on. I took the liberty of changing out this fuel line off camera just because I didn't know how old it was. I have some of that super heavy duty Gates barricade line. At least we'll get the portion after the fuel shutoff valve. So if there ever are any leaks, you got the shutoff valve to help you. Let's get that clamp on there. Beautiful. Get those, I think they were 5/16 bolts. And hold the top cover on. And you got 3 5/16 bolts on top, and you got a 3/8 down here under the tank. I don't know why, but that one's so easy to forget about. And there's a bushing that goes between the tab on the tank and the block, so make sure you don't lose that. Next step is to mount that back onto that. I'm not going to put all the other plastic on the engine yet. I want to make sure it runs okay before we waste any more time. So let's get that bolted up. Do yourself and the next guy a little favor and hit the crankshaft and the blade adapter a little bit of fluid film. Make this blade adapter a lot easier to take off the next time. You may not even need a puller. There we go. Now you can't run this, not even for a test, without a blade, because this thing does not have a heavy flywheel. If the motor has a cast iron flywheel, you can do that, but this does not, so we can't. Hit this a little bit of fluid film too. Again, making it easier for the next guy. Put our crank bolt back in. So the blade actually acts as a flywheel of sorts. While not cast iron, it is heavy. Whoop, I guess that's right, it's a 5/8. Also, check this adapter. Sometimes these things crack in half. I've seen that a couple of times. Not an expensive part, but it's broken, fix it. All right, now we got to hook up our blade brake assembly, which goes to the bail and the handlebars. These things are always fun. So it goes down there like so. Let's see. Just brute force it. Probably an easier way to do this, like with a pry bar, because you're competing with a heavy spring there. Or are we? How did I do this last time? Anybody remember? Huh, am I dumb or what? I was prying on the wrong spot. All right, let's put some oil in it. Don't want to do a test fire with no oil, right? I think we should probably do a compression test. What do you think? See if things changed a little bit. What was it, 10, 15 PSI before? I usually see these at about 60, if they're good. Got the oil level dialed in. Let's give the cord a yank to see if that noise has gone away. It should have. It feels very normal. No spark plug in there, so there's not going to be any resistance. Let's get the compression gauge. Compression gauge is hooked up and zeroed out. Let's see what we get. Oh, much better. Look at that. Imagine that, right? Come on, focus. It's right above 60. That's exactly what I would expect for this engine. Let's put our spark plug back in and let's give her a test fire. I'm not changing the plug, as the plug that was on the machine when it was trash picked. As we saw, we got a spark from it. I think it was this one anyway. We'll find out pretty quickly. So we got that on. Let's turn our gas on. Okay. Crack the garage door and give it a tug. All right, here goes nothing. She's a runner. That smoke that you see just coming off the muffler, that was just oil that dripped onto it while we were working on it. That should stop in time. So let's get the air cleaner back buttoned up and put the rest of the plastic on. Briggs and Stratton did do a pretty good job designing the air filter on this Quantum, I'll tell you. It's a pretty stout air filtration system for this engine. That's probably why they have a good reputation generally. I mean, they're not high-end engines by any stretch of the imagination, but they do seem to hold up pretty well for their price, and they still command a pretty high price. Okay, that's on. Now the rest of the cosmetic plastic tree. Gave her a quick bath. Let's put all this other stuff on. The useless accessories, right? A screw gun. Didn't sound right. I think that's the wrong screw. Yep, it is. That goes on here. I think. I don't know. Who cares? Probably like that. Morning, sweetie. That's after a minute or so of running, the smoke is starting to die down. Alright guys, I think that's a wrap. I took it outside and gave it one more cleaning. All in all, this is a pretty easy repair. If I wasn't filming, I'd probably do this in about an hour or so. The worst part of it is the cost, and you have to find that camshaft either used or really cheap. I got lucky, I got one off eBay for, I think I said about 20 bucks. It was $30 plus a one-time eBay credit for if you buy something through their mobile app, which I did. So got the camshaft and the tappets new for 20 bucks, and I spent maybe, I don't know, another maybe 10, 15 or so in miscellaneous parts for that seal and the side cover gasket. So all in all, if your mower is in otherwise good condition, it's a pretty easy repair. Is some major surgery, but you can add a couple of years of life back to your mower and save 250 bucks or so. It's what something like this costs today. So anyway, if you guys like this video, you found it helpful, please subscribe and stay safe.